Hello and welcome back to Shulchan HaRav. We continue in Hilchos Netilas Yadaim, Siman Kuf Samech Daled, and we pick it up with Sif Beis, which Emet Hashem. We will complete this Siman, several short Simanim right in these last couple of days. Misha Oimei Besuda, someone who's in the middle of a meal, the Nizkar, and he realizes that he actually touched some area that would have made his hands dirty. So he's got to go back and rewash. And he has to make a new bracha. If he realizes this only when the food is already in his mouth, lo yivla, he can't swallow it until he washes his hands again. Mamish doesn't mean a real actual dirty area. Even his thigh or his hip or areas that are typically covered on a person, that you're covering them with clothing, because there's amount of sweat there. And so too, if he scratches his scalp, or any other similar action he might take that renders his hands requires his hands to be washed again. If he's just rubbing his hands on his head on the top, meaning without touching the scalp, going, for example, in Nagba, like he's drying it off by rubbing, wiping the water off or whatever, off his hands. He's not actually scratching within the hair follicles of his head. Then you don't have to rewash. Some say that you do not make another al and tilas yadayim in the middle of a meal, because Chazal's takana of this bracha is only at the beginning of a meal before you're eating. Unless he interrupts his meal for whatever reason, and he gets busy with some other thing, and he's not aware of keeping his hands clean at all because he's not in the middle of the meal anymore. Only then would you have to go back and rewash the and make another bracha. The examples you gave before, you still would have to wash if your hands are dirty, but you don't make a bracha according to this opinion unless you actually left the meal. Because now if he comes back and starts over, he's eating again, it's like starting a new meal, because he left the area, went somewhere else in the middle. But if he's touching an area where it's dirty, or even if he goes to the bathroom, you do not you wash again, but you don't make another bracha. If a person who does a mitzvah twice, you don't make the bracha twice. Unless there was some distance between where you were and where you are now, or you completely lost focus of the mitzvah, and then you went back and changed your mind, or the mitzvah was no longer doable for whatever reason. So now you're going back to do it again. For example, like a person's wearing a talis and it completely fell off of him while he wasn't even thinking about it, which we've spoken about earlier, because now he's going to put the talis back on. It's like he's putting it on for the first time, so he has to make a new bracha. This case over here, that he interrupted the purity of his hands with using his hands for some other thing, and he had in mind that he's going to go back and make them clean again, or they became dirty and he had nothing in mind, and he did not have in mind he was going to make them tummy because he didn't know he was going to be getting involved with. Rather, he just had in mind to go back and repurify them when he came back. That's not enough of an interruption in the original state of their purity when he washed from beginning the meal, which would require that would make him go back and make a new bracha when he goes back and rewatches. Because he never really lost his focus on keeping them tar. Because also the guy who took his talis off on purpose, Bistam, had no intention of doing anything, he does not make a new bracha because he intentionally took it off. It's not considered hesach hadas. He didn't think about anything. Im nishar alav talis kotan. That's only though as long as he keeps his talis cotton on. Sheyesh bozeh gili das, because that's showing that he's not taking his mind off this mitzvah. Even though he had nothing intentionally in mind regarding the large talis, but he doesn't know if he's going to go back and put it on again or not. So even though he has hesach hadas from completely doing this mitzvah again, he does not have to make another bracha if he had his tzitzis on, because it shows that he's not completely leaving the mitzvah, even though he didn't have specifically in mind to do something else with his talis gadol. Sheni's bar Hashem, as Sheni Bar Hashem explained earlier, earlier. Kosher Kain Zeh. So certainly, or in this case, Shahadav Yadua, we know for sure Shabavada Yachzal Mitzvah Tires Yadav. He's certainly going to go back and re-purify his hands and wash again. Shahareyu Meis V'Suda, because he's going to go back and eat. And he has in mind to go eat. So therefore, as long as he doesn't have complete lack of knowledge about what he's going to do with his hands, and he's putting them purposefully into a situation where they're going to become tameh, they might remain tar. So when he comes back and washes, he doesn't make a new bracha. And one should be concerned for this lenient opinion, since we're talking about a bracha which is derabanan, and any time we have a suffix in a bracha, we go to the lenient opinion and do not make the bracha again. And with that, Baruch Hashem, we finish Siman Kuf Samach Daled, and Mitzvah Hashem, next time we'll start Siman Kuf Samach Hey 165. Din ha'otzit tzarcha v'roitzu le'echel. Someone who has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the meal, and then he wants to come back and eat, or he has to go to the bathroom before the meal, and he's now just washing for the first time. What is he supposed to do? Uboy Gimel Sifim, and there will be 3 Sifim Mitzvah Hashem. Next time, have a great day.